ProWrestlingSheet.com.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's Collider Bodyslam Raw Recap Show. Do not adjust your sets. We are coming from Studio B. We had a nice little, it was like a dream, it was like a fantasy. It was like The Fly when he dreamt he was a human being and then he became a fly again. In that movie, we were in the Collider Live studios last week, which is really great, but unfortunately, there's a lot of technical issues going on, so we are back in Studio B for this week. Hopefully, they figure that all out over there. For Collider Live, you can hear my co-host Ryan Satin over here, not happy with the change, doesn't like how he looks in the game, doesn't like the orange curtain,
well,
but we're going to make it work.
This orange behind us, for those of you watching on YouTube, I don't know if you can see over here because you can only see it in when there's three of us, I think, but there's like a giant stain and everyone keeps commenting on the stain.
And
just
really?
And just in general, I'm not a fan of orange. Like, I don't think orange is the most appealing color unless you're on like a Nickelodeon show in the 90s. So because we're not, this is not Nickelodeon Choice Awards, I do prefer the studio, that's the podcast room. Yeah. But alas, we are here. We're going to talk about Raw.
Yeah, we're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work.
Yeah. If they can do shows in Wichita, we can make it work. That's what I'm saying. No offense, no offense. Anyway, I am John Rocha, so let's get this thing going. Ryan, the Raw started out coming up all the big news from last week. We were wondering what was going to happen to Strowman, Roman Reigns, the Shield. You talk about the families, possibilities there. Well, started off with Roman Reigns coming down. You know, it's time to respect the Roman Empire. Talking about he's a champ who fights anybody who wants to fight, calls out Strowman. Strowman comes out. They have a back and forth. He challenges him to Hell in the Cell, essentially cashing it in like he was going to cash it in face-to-face, man-to-man at SummerSlam. He's cashing now officially for Hell in a Cell. They're going to fight for the title, and then just that happens out of nowhere. Ziggler pops up. What is this all about? Him and McIntyre come out. I was a little surprised by that. There's a fun back and forth. They challenge him to a tag match, and that gets set up for later on in the evening. Did you like this whole opening?
I didn't really enjoy this. I mean, I like that Braun is not doing the cash in, the cash in that we're accustomed to,
right?
The surprise cash in.
Yeah.
I like that he is being very open about the fact that he's going to cash in at a certain date and time, or he tells people beforehand, even though he has been unlucky while doing that in the past. Yeah. I like that he's doing that. I like the idea of Braun versus Roman at Hell in a Cell. I do fear that putting them together so soon right now will halt the momentum a little bit of Braun Strowman.
Right.
And we're going to have a longer discussion about Braun Strowman about the end of this at the end of this episode, obviously, when we get to the main event and stuff. I'm interested to hear your take on all of this. Yeah. But beyond that, but just this segment for now, I like what Braun Strowman is doing. Yeah. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I don't care what anyone says about Ziggler. Ziggler and McIntyre have become a main event fixture that I like. Yep. I like having them there. You know, I believe it was last week we talked about this, and we're going to talk about it again in a second, but I've been really unhappy with the constable, who is no longer the constable, apparently. He's the acting general manager. Right. But I've been very unhappy with the formula being Constable Corbin in the first match the past couple weeks lately. Right. What I have not been unhappy with is McIntyre and Ziggler getting these main event level pushes. Yeah. McIntyre, each week, he continues to look like a main eventer. And honestly, we've said it in the past, but man, this was another time where I watched it just going like, dude, this guy, God, the difference between him now and then before he got released is so crazy while watching it. I mean, he truly is the chosen one that he was supposed to be way back when.
Well, it happens, right? We see this happen with wrestlers sometimes. They go away for a little while, or they tumble back down into the indies. They have to fight and scratch and claw their way back. And there's something about that journey that changes them as human beings. That's the thing you forget. You forget that once these guys and these ladies get there, it doesn't necessarily mean they have the tools to stay there. And then sometimes they have to go back, lose what they had, get hungry for it again so they can appreciate it. And when they come back, they're a completely different person. Happens to all of us in life. We mature, we grow, we go through experiences, life experiences outside the ring, and all of a sudden you have a different approach. Yes, it's talked about ahead of time. Everything is scripted, whatever. whatever, but it's still your job. And when you can be better at your job sometimes, when you lose something you really want and you realize how much it was of value to your life, and then you find your way back to it. Andre Agassi, to make a quick tangent to tennis, Andre Agassi, at the beginning, everything was laid out for him. He was great. He didn't have to pay that much attention. He was so naturally talented. He had stuff he had to figure out. Once he went away for a little while, lost, got out of the rankings, he climbed his way back up, and he learned to appreciate the game more. I think that's what happens here sometimes. And McIntyre, he's done a great job with his second opportunity.
Didn't Tiger Woods have to do something similar as well in golf? And he's one of the greats, you know?
Exactly. So it just happens.
But it's also, to further that point, I think the opposite happens a lot too, that a lot of times where they leave and they go, you know what, that really wasn't as important to me as I thought. Or WWE isn't necessarily as important to me, but wrestling is. Case in point, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the indie place.
Who was like, look I want to change the indies now. Like, I want to make the indies a more healthy place for everyone. And, I'm leaving in a few days to All In. I mean, they really have done that. I mean, All In is going to be the biggest, indie show, quote unquote, that's ever happened, really. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see how that changes people. And I think, Drew McIntyre is a perfect example of that. I remember listening to his podcast interview. I want to say it was on the Art of Wrestling after he got released. And he was really passionate about, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my character. I'm going to do that. And he really has followed that. I mean, he had that time in TNA or Impact where he was doing it as well. But, I mean, everything he has done has really formed him to become this full package. Yeah. Honestly, he is starting to get on the heels of Braun as the future of the guy. Yeah. He's getting there. I mean, I really, really enjoy Drew McIntyre. I'm glad that he's been beginning such a main event push.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see how we had the Maharaja getting his push out of 3MB. Now we're getting McIntyre getting his push. Who's left? Who's the third guy? Is he gonna get a push?
You want that serious push for Heath Slater?
I need to feed my kids. I have kids.
I mean, he had his brief moment in the sun for a minute,
really turned it around.
And then they just went nowhere with it.
They shackled him to Rhino. You're not going to do much when you shackle to Rhino, unfortunately.
Even when he first got shackled to Rhino, they had the crackers thing they were doing and the kids and the pool, and they quickly got away from it. Yeah. I would like to see another shot for Heath Slater, although I'm sure it would start to feel very similar to the B team,
right?
Which I have some things I want to talk about when it comes to the match, so I'll save it for there.
Okay, Finn Balor taking on Corbin. Corbin came out, set up that tag team match between Ziggler and McIntyre versus Reigns and Strowman. Balor comes out challenged by Corbin, says he only wants to fight the man. Then Balor beats him by disqualification. Corbin gets back on the mic and says, no, this is now a no DQ because I'm the GM, hits him with the chair. Really cheap-ass victory. Way longer match than it should have been. Extremely boring. I was upset about the whole situation. Yeah, he's supposed to be a heel, but there's a way to do a heel that's interesting and fun and fascinating, and there's a way to do a heel that's like, all right, fine, whatever. You just believe in this guy and you're trying to shove it down the throat even more. I don't mind him taking over as GM, but I want him to be a sniveling GM. I don't want him to be like this guy who changes the rules because he doesn't have that personality that I give a crap about if he's doing that kind of stuff.
Not even just changing the rules, but just like he's like a straight villain where he's like making his own rules. And I hated everything about this. Yeah. I hated everything about this segment.
And why is Balor being used as fodder for this?
Why?
That's ridiculous.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you saw last week, where he has proven himself that he should be a main event player, and just like, I don't know, man. Look, I'm okay with things being done to get heat and whatever,
Of course.
But this feud has been fucking beaten to death. This feud is done. It's over. It is over. It is done. Nobody wants to see one more match between the Demon, Finn Balor, whoever, and Baron Corbin. I like both wrestlers.
Sure.
I'm into both wrestlers. I like GM Corbin, but I do not want to see them wrestle each other for at least another 6 months. They have done it enough. And please, for God's sake, get Baron Corbin out of the first match slot. It's ridiculous.
All I can tell you is when Ryan Satin cusses this early in the episode, he means what he says. He means what he effing says. So there it is. It is a real honest point. By the way, I want to say one last thing. I'm wearing a DX shirt. One of my favorite DX shirts. I love this DX shirt.
Oh, that's a good one?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones ever.
I like it.
I have a weird feeling with McIntyre and Ziggler that they're a little DX-esque.
I get that vibe.
McIntyre is the Triple H, Ziggler being the jumping around Shawn Michaels kind of vibe. It's maybe a little bit of that blueprint that they're not they're going to be DX, but you see the blueprint there.
Yeah,
a little
totally.
bit, right?
Totally. I can see. I get the vibe.
Yeah.
I get the vibe.
All right, moving on. Sasha Banks taking on Dana Brooke. This was weird. Like, are they trying to break up Titus Worldwide? It seems like they're going down that path. Apollo Crews being the sensible one. By the way, the more time they give Apollo Crews, the more I enjoy Apollo Crews. So it's very frustrating that he's not getting a bigger push or more main event, or even fighting for the IC championship in some way. Like, just around in that area, I want to see more of Apollo Crews. Titus does what he does. He's a great humanitarian, does great stuff for the WWE outside of the ring. That's awesome. Dana does her thing, but Dana's also the forgotten lady, always in the evolution type of stuff. You forget how much she did in NXT by this point, because she's been
relegated to a side player.
Yeah,
she's the manager basically at this point.
They used her to just drum up Sasha, and it was a decent match, but we knew what was going to happen.
While watching this, I thought to myself, well, after the match, I was wondering, while watching this match, I was thinking to myself, the more interesting outcome here would be turning Titus heel. In this breakup.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I think that Apollo can necessarily pull off like an angry heel or be taken seriously as a heel at this point. And he's got such a good smile. Like, he's such a good happy baby face that I don't know if I really want to see him turn heel. And I know they're kind of planting the seeds for something with Titus Worldwide. Yeah. If they do split, I'm hoping that it's a Titus turn, but at the same time, Titus is such a good humanitarian outside of the ring.
It's weird.
That I don't know if anyone will believe him being a bad guy at this point, because they talk so much about it, and we all have social media. The whole wrestling fans all have social media. There's no wrestling fan that, maybe 1% of wrestling fans that don't know that Titus O'Neil is a great person in real life, And so, I really wonder what they're planning there, because I don't know if that would be a strong heel team, Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke. Like, I feel like they would be just as lost, the two of them, as they are with Titus O'Neil right now.
No, it seems like Titus is going to make, because he's the one that got almost disgusted that Dana lost, and was him and Apollo were having a difference of opinion, and Titus seemed to not even want to listen to what Apollo had to say. So it seems pretty clear they're turning Titus, or they're pulling him away from Titus Worldwide, and maybe this is how Apollo gets his push, with Dana as the valet and also wrestler outside the ring, a la Cien Almas and Zelina.
Would you buy a serious singles push for Titus O'Neil?
No.
No.
Not even a little bit.
Really?
No, I think Titus has all the looks of a great wrestler. I don't think Titus has the charm, personality, or the fan buzz that you need to have to make it. Because they tried to push him singles and tag number of times.
Because I will say,
he doesn't catch on.
Because I will say, in tags, he's great at the hot tag. Like, he really is good at like that hot tag and just running in with a fury and cleaning house.
Sure,
he's great at that. But I feel that, I really like Titus O'Neil as well, and I wonder.
I like him as a person.
Yeah,
absolutely,
of course, yeah. I wonder. I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's been there a long time.
Some guys have the tools. They just and ladies. Some guys and ladies have the tools. They just don't always get over with the fans. I think people like Titus as a person.
But he is kind of over now at this point.
Do you think so?
I think people like the Titus
Like
Worldwide
Corbin has
thing.
all the tools, but he's not. People don't like Corbin. Like, look at the disgust in your mouth. Look at your face you're making, right? Just mentioning his name, immediately your face goes to that place. Whereas Titus is you like Titus a lot. I just don't know if he's got the skills necessary. If they turn him into a vicious heel, then that's a whole nother ballgame. If they turn him into a Trump-esque type thing, where like he's like a businessman who doesn't care what anybody says, makes up his own rules, does his own thing, then that might be something interesting to watch.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
I
that's certainly
like that
possible.
idea.
That could be it. That could be the way they go. We'll see. But definitely Titus Worldwide is breaking up. It seems pretty obvious.
It does seem pretty obvious at this point, yeah. Although it seemed pretty obvious that the Boston Hug connection were breaking up a few months ago, and look where we're at. So
Look, where are we at? Anyway, Seth Rollins. By the way, I do want that boss shirt. I keep resisting it.
The Boston Hug one?
No, the boss, the original boss with the blue one with the gold letters.
I was gonna say,
I do
that
like
Boston
that
Hug
shirt.
one.
I'm not doing the Boston.
I said that one's ugly. Don't get that shirt.
I'm not getting that one.
But I agree with you. The boss one is cool.
Yeah, right. I'll see if I ever break down and buy it. Seth Rollins had an
sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I had a Bailey shirt.
Ooh.
When she was in NXT.
Yeah.
And I've since thrown it away.
What?
Is that kind of that dick?
Do you have to throw it away? Did you give it away? Like, did you go to Goodwill or did you throw it away?
I just threw it away.
Oh, damn.
It just didn't fit anymore, dude.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Should I? Is that bad when I throw away
I
shirts
think it's
instead
bad
of giving it to
give
Goodwill?
it to Goodwill. Like I do all my wrestling shirts when I stop. I give them to Goodwill.
All right, yeah, I guess I should probably do that.
Like my Iron Sheik one that I never wore, the yellow one that made me look fat as hell, I gave that to Goodwill. But I kept my Santino Morella shirt. I will always keep my That was a good shirt. That international one, the blue one, that was a good shirt.
I almost wore my Macho Man shirt today.
Whoa!
But it's all purple. Well, I did
You
wear.
are wearing.
I am wearing my Macho Man shirt, but I almost wore my other Macho Man shirt that I haven't worn to work yet. But it's all purple. No, it makes me look too Barney-esque. Let's just stick with the black macho. Looking off into the sunset.
I will tell you a shirt I saw, and I texted Aaron Turner last night. I said, I'm going to get this shirt. Yeah, I saw it on Pro Wrestling Tees. Einsteiner, which is...
I've seen that shirt. It's great. James Vanderbeek made it. It's a great one.
Let me tell you something. I'm buying the goddamn shirt. That shirt... I have 4. I'm waiting till the 30th of August when they have an all-in 20% off sale, and I'm going to buy 4 wrestling shirts. I already picked them up, put them in CM Punk shirt, Hogan shirt, the Japan one, the Ichiban one, and that Einstein one. Absolutely.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And when I say James Vanderbeek made it, I don't mean the actor James Vanderbeek. I mean a guy I follow on Twitter who has the handle James Vanderbeek, which is spelled differently.
Shout out to that guy because you designed an awesome shirt. I didn't think anybody could bring Steiner back into relevance. Einsteiner did it. So anyway, Kevin Owens coming out here to answer the challenge from Seth Rollins. Really good match. It was pay-per-view level-esque. A lot of fake finishes but eventually it did turn and Rollins got the victory here. They did a whole promo, went to commercial, and they come back. Owens sitting in the ring for a little while, a la Batista, and then quits. What is your thought here? And we should talk about the person who sent you a theory on Twitter.
We'll get to him, but before we get to that one, okay, so I really didn't enjoy the first hour of Raw. I was kind of bored during it.
Yep.
I was just kind of like, last week was kind of had a lot of stuff going on. I
did.
The first hour, I was really just kind of like, this isn't really that good. This is when the show really kicked off for me. I mean, honestly, from the promo from Seth to when Owens came in and his promo was just
it was
so good.
He's so great.
Like his promo was so good. Like Kevin Owens, one of those people on the mic that just is like he's Paul Heyman-esque in my mind, where it's like where he can literally do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He can make the crowd react in whatever way he wants, and it is such a fun thing to watch. I mean, when he came out and answered, that crowd, especially he's from, Canada, they were pumped. He was getting like hometown love. People were cheering for him. He was saying like, I'm not leaving here without a title, and everyone was going crazy. And then in 1 second, he turned it all around, speaking French Canadian to the crowd. And I read like I read a translation of what he said.
Oh, yeah?
And it was something along the lines, I should pull it up because it made me laugh so much. Because it was just so good the way he said, I can pull it up quickly.
He was talking about Montreal, and he was bashing Toronto in that way. And he was talking about how great Montreal. And then he started talking in French. That was incredible.
He said, here's what he said. He said, oh, so now you're not happy? Just a moment ago you were happy, and now you guys are mad? Well, I don't care because you all paid for my new T-shirt anyway. Which I loved. I was like, oh, it's so good. But they were just, man, when he flipped the switch like that, they were just raining down boos on him. And I loved it. I loved it so much. The match itself, like you said, pay-per-view quality.
Yeah.
I mean, Owens here, similar to how I had said, he really, Balor, similar to how I said about Balor last week, proving that he deserves to be in the main event scene. I feel the same way about Owens here. I mean, there are so many main event players in WWE right now, and they're all kind of lumped in different areas because the main event title scene is still a little murky. It's a little confusing still. But man, there are a line of people that are just like, they need to do something with him. And I'm real interested in the Owens thing that happened after this match because I wonder what they're going to do. Yeah. Is this a break of sorts? I know that Sami Zayn had said that he's hoping to be back by WrestleMania. So, I mean, that's, it's not that long away. I have a hard time believing they keep Kevin Owens off of TV until WrestleMania season, even though he mentioned Sami Zayn and the promo was kind of a bat. Yeah. So, what do you think they're going to do with him?
It's an interesting way. I mean, we know from behind the scenes, if you listen to like Jim Cornette's radio show, his podcast, he talks about the difficulties he had with with KO and how KO likes to do things his way. And this may be something that because it was weird.
This was
okay.
No shoot factor whatsoever here.
Fair
this
enough.
is 100% storyline.
What I'm saying is that there might be using that shoot aspect to the storyline, and he may be this disgruntled guy who has issues all the way for a little while, and then he tries different things. So we go on this journey with KO. Like you said, he is Paul Heyman. That's a perfect Paul Heyman-esque. You go with him wherever he takes you because he's so interesting. He's great on the mic. He's great with improv. He's great playing off the fans. He knows exactly what to say and how to build and drop through his promos and through his back and forth. So you want to go with him wherever he's going to go. So whatever they do with him, I'm excited to see. And I know he's going to have a lot to say on it because that's his reputation. He likes to have a lot of input with where his storylines go. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think mentioning Zayn was an accident.
No.
I loved how it was nice because your friend showed up. I didn't have my best friend there. I thought that was great. We've seen this before. Wrestlers bitch about how the direction, like Romans did this recently with Lesnar. Oh, he's Vince's guy, Vince's boy, that kind of stuff. So to me, I wonder where they're going to take him, but I'm excited to see where they're going to take him because a free agent or a free Kevin Owens is an interesting Kevin Owens.
Well, I have a guess of what I'm hoping, but why don't you read what this person tweeted us?
Oh yeah. We want to give him some love too because he wanted to reach out and tell us his theory on what he thinks. This is from @Winterfell. I think Wintado. I think that's a reference to Game of Thrones. He said, I honestly feel, thank you, appreciate that. I honestly feel like Kevin Owens might go to SmackDown and turn babyface after that I Quit promo on last night's Raw. Tell me what you guys think. P.S. Hope you shout me out on the recap we just did.
You just did.
Yeah.
And
out.
I partly agree with him.
Okay.
So
You think he'd go to SmackDown?
No.
Okay.
I do not think he's going to SmackDown. I don't see that happening, especially so quickly after the Superstar shakeup. However, I hope that this is the beginning of a Kevin Owens face run. We have not had face Kevin Owens in his entire WWE run.
Yeah.
NXT, WWE, and he's got 5 more years left on it. He's got, he just recently signed a new 5-year deal. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, if you want to freshen things up, similar to Becky Lynch. You want to freshen up Becky Lynch.
Good point.
You finally turn this lifelong face heel. You want to freshen up Kevin Owens. You finally give the crowd what they want. Anti-hero Kevin Owens, who's a face that people can cheer for, but he's a badass like Stone Cold. I think if there's anyone in WWE who can pull off the badass Stone Cold-esque anti-hero where he's kind of a dick, he is, he's witty on the microphone, but can still kick your ass believably in the ring, I think it's Kevin Owens. I think it makes perfect sense. And also it opens up a whole world of opponents that we haven't seen him go up against.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up, Ryan. I like this idea, too. Oh, man, I love him going face is great.
And also, since he mentioned Sami Zayn, I would think, because, the wrestling fan in me knows that even when you're a heel, if you're gone for a long time and you come back, you get this huge face reaction.
Yeah.
So it would only make sense that maybe he's turning face and that this is leading to when he does turn face and he comes back, and then when Sammy comes back, the face pop for heel won't be weird because it's like he's my friend and he just wants to back me up. We're not bad guys or good guys, we're friends. And he's got my back. I don't know. I like the idea of that.
And you can drag it out over multiple weeks because the fans will be waiting for him to turn back to heel. Maybe he'll have moments where he has heel impulses and he stops himself. Maybe there's something there where he gets trained by somebody how to be a face, how to be better, how to be good. And he really wants to earn the love back from the fans. And then he could still turn heel like months down the road when he goes, I tried it your way. I tried to do what you wanted, and I still didn't succeed. So I'm just gonna be me. Screw all of you. I'm gonna be me. And he gets an even more ultra heel turn.
It makes sense. I think
that
it's the thing that makes the most sense out of all of this.
That's a great point. All right, moving on to something that doesn't make sense. The Raw Tag Team Championships with the B Team up against the Revival. What a boring ass match. The Revival won, but the crowd was dead. And this is Toronto, son. If the crowd is dead in Toronto, you are doing something wrong. The crowd was dead for this match. If I can hear the guys from the ring trying to cheer on the crowd to make them chant their names, this is a done match. And Revival won, but for what purpose? It sets them up to play them, to fight them at the Hell in a Cell. Probably going to beat them at Hell in a Cell. But at this point, the B Team is done.
Man. Yeah, okay, so I don't necessarily agree that it was a bad match because I'll be honest with you, I watch it twice, like I've been telling you I've been doing sometimes. Because I'll watch it, like half watching it while eating dinner and talking to my girlfriend and playing with my dogs because I've been at work all day. And then I'm like, okay, wait, was it as bad as I thought it was? So I'll go back and watch, And there were a couple things. One, it was a solid match. But you know what I think the biggest problem with B Team has been?
Tell me.
And they're working on it. I noticed it in this match. And it's the fact that for years now, both of those wrestlers have not been given the opportunity to give offense. Like they've been getting beaten up for so long.
That's a good point.
That them, actually being allowed offense in a match almost looks weird. Like you're like, wait, those guys don't actually get an offense in a match. Like, and I almost think that they have been used as non-offensive players for so long that it's almost hard for them to adjust their style in the ring to do that. It's not easy to be beaten up all the time, believably. I mean, to be fair, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas have been, for the most part, used as enhancement talent, to help get other people over. Yeah. And those people, for the most part, they'll get one or two moves in, but for the most part, they're getting beaten up. Yeah. And it was interesting while I was watching it, they were doing, Axel was kind of doing the snapmare, and he was kind of doing a few other moves, and Bo did the suplex that he's been doing off the ropes a little bit. And it was, the pieces were there, but it didn't feel believable to me for some reason. And the Revival, to me, those guys click. They're great wrestlers.
I've come around on them, man.
I love the Revival. The Revival, to me, and they're part of the reason why the match, to me, I didn't feel like it was as bad as the dead crowd made it sound like. Because I'll agree with you.
That crowd
watching it, that crowd was dead. The match felt like it was dead. It was hard for me to pay attention. But when I went back and actually tried to watch it without letting the crowd dictate my opinion, I was like, and that was just the one thing that stuck out at me the whole time, was just the fact that it was almost weird seeing them do offense. Yeah. So
I think that's a great point you bring up, because they obviously don't have a lot of experience in doing it. And you could see there were some moments where they're missing spots, or they're a little slow on the movements, and usually that shows wrestlers who either are trying to find their rhythm back again, or they're a little rusty, or they haven't had a lot of experience hitting those spots. Because when you're facing Dawson and Wilder, that's a hell of a tag team to go up against, and those guys are well oiled. Oh yeah. And so your cracks show when you're facing wrestlers like that.
Yeah, you're right. I think that is why I noticed it so much, because the Revival are just so on point. And I will mention, you didn't like Revival initially?
And I liked them at NXT. I didn't like that. I didn't like when they came up. I thought they didn't do a good job with them. And I'm telling you, Dawson is weird to me. He's got a weird large ass, and it bothers me. I'm not going to say it in a mean way. I don't mean it in a mean way. I'm probably going to get my ass kicked by him one day if Ryan ever lets me go cover something live. But he's got an old school 1970s Bruno Sammartino butt. I haven't seen a butt like that in a pair of tights in quite some time, and so I respect the fact that it's an homage to that time. But it's just a little weird. So the combo was a little weird for me. But I've come their skills.
It was like when I watched Raw with my girlfriend. She it was like she was commenting on Dean Ambrose being a Dilf, and then showing me the tweet, being like, "Is this funny?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. It's a really girly tweet about him being a Dilf. I don't know what to tell you." But I see your point. I see your point.
That's all I'm trying to say. It just seems a little weird to me. And so when I see them together, I'm always just like, I respect that butt. I respect the butt. And so initially, I wasn't always the biggest fan of it. So.
I respect that butt. Can we talk about, though, how great it was to see them?
Put that on a shirt.
I did love how great it was seeing them clink the titles again.
Yes. They're turning them heel. They're turning them heel.
Well, they were already heel. I don't think they were ever
hardcore
face.
heel.
Yeah, but they were definitely going back to where they were before some of the injuries took place. Yeah. But I loved seeing them clink the titles again. I had forgotten how cool that looked, and because the crowd was so silent during the segment, you could hear how loud it is when you clink the belts. So I liked it. I like that part of it.
They'll mow through them, and they should, and then this will be great, because then you'll see other tag teams stepping up to take them on. That'll be fun to see.
It's just anytime,
and maybe even Owens and Zayn as a tag team if they come back face.
Yeah, it's just anytime. The only thing I fear is that anytime you hear a tag team or anyone talk about how they want to be a wrestler, giving props to the Road Warriors and Arn Anderson, even though Arn Anderson's backstage, for some reason I go, well, they're losing. Vince is just Vince doesn't like wrestlers. Yeah. Vince isn't he wants sports entertainers. Right. And I feel like when you have a team that's like, no, we're wrestlers. Vince is like, well, you're losing. So, but I don't know.
This is your angle. Oh,
That's
son of a.
That's what I do. I go like, no, don't say that too much. Don't say that too much.
Well, someone who said too much, Elias, and now here stepping in, doing his guitar thing, checking the stool, making sure the book, all that. Getting interrupted by Trish Stratus. I love that. This actually worked for me better than I thought it was going to work. I love Trish to pieces, and whenever she shows up, look, that lady is incredible in her legacy in the WWE. What she became in the WWE from where she started out, how she learned the business, respected the business, gave of herself, got over with the fans. Great heel. It did some of the most uncomfortable storylines with Vince.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
to say the least.
Yeah, back when that was okay.
Yeah,
supposedly. And all that kind of stuff. You respect. And she is absolutely beautiful, man. I mean, beautiful and successful businesswoman.
She looks just as much as she's the same age as she was.
If Mickie James can still do it, Trish could, if she wanted to, Trish could absolutely still do it on the regular.
I was like, man, I wish I didn't age like that, dude. Damn, dude.
She's more beautiful now, I think, than when she first started. There's something about a woman that comes into her age very powerfully and owns it that you just like, you're in awe of it. And seeing her handle him so perfectly, and Elias playing off it as well, was great. The back and forth was nice.
I'm really digging WWE's current push for like badass moms.
Yeah.
We got Trish Stratus coming in slapping Elias. Right. We got Brie.
Right.
We got Brie Danielson rolling in, slapping the Miz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into I'm leaving one out.
Brie Bella?
That's why I said Brie Bella, Brie Danielson, but there's one more I'm leaving out. But anyways, I like this push for strong moms. I'm real into it. I like even that in the backstage videos they're showing of Brie, she keeps saying "Mama's gonna knock you out." I'm super into her new catchphrase being "Mama's gonna knock you out." Big '90s fan. Shout out to LL Cool J. But this segment, man, Elias. I'm always hit or miss on Elias, but he had me cracking up when he said that thing about like he's not into 60-year-olds.
Oh man.
Because as you and I just said, I mean, she hasn't aged a day. And when you say that, it's such a ridiculous thing, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved that it was like a don't disrespect Toronto around Trish Stratus thing. I do wish though that more had been done to push Trish Stratus versus Alexa.
I agree.
I thought that like the promo didn't really do that.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense to me if there had been in the match that happened, if there had been some sort of beatdown and Trish came out to save the faces, and then they had a thing in the ring and Alexa was huffing puffing, or even a in-ring thing where like Alexa was doing a promo talking crap. Honestly, that role should have been the Elias role should have been filled by Alexa.
That's fair. I would thought she was going to do the slap, then the kick in the nuts, and then do the Stratisfaction. I thought she was going to do something like that to kind of put him away and show she's the and Elias, I bet, would have loved to put her over like that.
Totally,
no problem there. Getting Ronda's music was great for the fans. I can't. Ronda's music is great with the fans. She's a sweetheart. I know she is. The smile of hers. I like the angry Ronda. I'll be honest with you. That smile sometimes doesn't radiate believably to me, but the fans love her. She's over. Come down the ring. I hated they didn't have her beat up Elias. I thought that was going to happen. She was going to whip him around, do whatever. All it did was set up the fact that they brought out Natalya, which was nice, and they set all that up. But then Alicia Fox comes out. Alexa Bliss, once again, owns the mic. She's great on the mic. Now, from where she'd been when she started, she has gotten so much better, and she owns the back and forths. Nobody, I don't know if there's anybody in the women's division that can go toe-to-toe with Alexa on the mic. It's so fantastic. And then, of course, it sets up the match with Alicia Fox. I mean, Alicia, they didn't even play Alicia's music.
Oh,
that's,
she doesn't get the music treatment anymore.
No, it was all Bliss, and they went to the fight, and Alicia ended up tapping out to Natalya, and I don't know. It seemed a bit like, okay, I get it all. Mickie James being introduced was nice with the old rivalry there. But what did it accomplish in the long run,
that's
right?
How I felt about it. Yeah, it's like I got it. The pieces made sense, but I just was like, did that really hype Evolution that much? I don't know if I necessarily felt like it did.
Yeah.
That was my main thing about it. It's funny you mentioned the smiling thing because it seems like that's a big Vince note. Is the smiling thing.
Really?
Well, because I was listening to, shout out to Lynn Garcia's podcast. She's been killing it lately, but I was listening to her interview with Bobby Roode this week, and she was talking to him, and she was like, the heel turn, or the face turn, sorry, like becoming a face on the main roster, like, whose idea, who made that call?
Yeah.
And he was like, it was literally one person who thought that I should be a face on the main roster. One person. And that was Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I kind of, I said yes, obviously, and I've been trying to work with it, but, I tried to work with it, but, I got a lot of notes of like, you got to smile more, you got to smile more, you got to be a babyface, you got to smile more. And so I'm guessing it's a similar note to Ronda that like, no, babyfaces smile, you have to smile when you go out to the ring. You know what, to be honest with you, I kind of agree on the smile factor.
Do you?
I don't think she should smile when she comes out to fight. When she comes out to, when she comes out to like fight or wrestle or whatever, for a match, I don't think she should be smiling. I don't think that she should be doing the cup in the ear or anything like that. I don't think she should be smiling. I think that she should be serious Ronda who's ready to like beat some ass.
Hogan rarely smiled.
No, but I mean, he did he was
he did that. But he never, like, even in his promos, it was like, let me tell you something, brother. He wasn't like, let me tell you something, brother. It was a different situation.
Didn't he kind of like go to the crowd and he was like shaking hands and kind of like slapping fives and stuff? No?
He would occasionally step by, but it wasn't his thing.
No?
Because the crowd touched him. That's what it was.
Okay,
the crowd came to him.
Yeah, you're right.
He was one of those guys that didn't have to. Like, Bayley does that, and it works for Bayley, but Hogan never had to.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you'd see the pictures and they're all swarming him and kind of just touching him. Michael Jackson
Cena
status.
smiles, right? That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But I think there are some people you just want to enjoy watching, and I think Ronda doesn't need to smile. I think Ronda's fine just being her.
I think that because of that public perception that she's a bitch to people, because I don't feel that way, obviously.
Really?
I love Ronda Rousey.
I didn't know that
But that's always been the like, well, remember when she got beat up, or when she lost the fight, and then it was like...
The first fight with Holly?
Yeah, and then it was like...
Went off
and then she went off, and then like it was like, she's... stuck up,
That's true.
And everyone kind of had this perception that she was a bitch, and like
she didn't do the press conference.
She was doing the press conference. She didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
She was like all like, oh, she's okay with fighting and all that kind of stuff. So I do think there's this public perception out there, and I do think her coming out smiling and being this confident, smiley person who's also kicking ass, I kind of think it helps to fix that a little bit and make her seem like a someone you can relate with.
That's fair, but I think it's confusing when you have her like go nuts and slam Angle and slam Alexa, and then all of a sudden she's all smiles. Like it's a weird, confusing thing. Which way is the face route? So
yeah, I get that. I get that.
We'll see how it goes. Speaking of smiling, Bobby Lashley in a handicap match, 2-on-1, took care of the Ascension by himself. Why? I mean, it must be a great paycheck. It must, because like you're even jobbing in handicap matches to one dude. Like, at least the Revival is getting somewhat of a push. What's the Ascension going to do?
I felt so bad for the Ascension
I
while
would
watching
go back.
this.
I would go, look, just send me back to NXT, please.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, while I was watching, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, these guys have been so severely damaged.
Yeah.
And especially when you see, I know that you watched Southpaw Regional Wrestling, because I saw you got Perry that Do It for Dewey shirt.
Do It for Dewey.
And it's funny, she walked by me in the office wearing that shirt, and I said, there's no way you watched Southpaw Regional Wrestling. And she was like, no, Rocha got this for me. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Named Dewey.
Yeah, no, it made sense when she told me that. But I was like, but it's weird in your office place to see someone who doesn't watch wrestling wearing a Southpaw Regional Wrestling shirt. You're like, wait, what? Like that? I was praying that she watched it. I was like, a piece of me was like, oh, I hope Harry liked Southpaw. Like that'd be so cool. But honestly, I feel like she would like.
Yeah,
I
think I think she would totally come to a wrestling event and have a great time.
I think she would too. And I think she actually watched Southpaw. She'd enjoy it too.
Oh, probably,
Some of the stuff I've seen that she enjoys, because Southpaw was such a funny thing.
Yeah.
I got sidetracked there. What were we?
Bobby Lashley and Ascension.
When we're in Southpaw Regional Wrestling, when they showed the dudes' attitudes, the Ascension in there, they were so funny. They were so entertaining, and they weren't in face paint. They were just funny dudes. And then that translated to the Fashion Files, when they were in the Fashion Files, and they were doing those, and they were part of all that, and they were funny. And then like nothing has happened with them since, like nothing. And I'm in complete agreement with you that they just honestly they should go back to NXT and they would be best served. And I know that there's a lot of teams that they might not match the current indie vibe of NXT, but I could see them getting. I wouldn't mind seeing I wouldn't mind seeing them against Authors of Pain. I wouldn't mind seeing them against. I wouldn't mind them being taken seriously.
If Lars Sullivan and Authors of Pain can function in NXT right now, then why wouldn't the Ascension? It makes sense. Maybe they might not go for the titles, but they'll be in the mix.
I mean, the Colognes are getting a title shot, or getting at least in the title contention world. Their first match back on SmackDown tonight, which I thought was kind of funny that everyone was complaining about Charlotte coming back from injury and getting a title opportunity. And then the Colognes do it, and no one cares.
Yeah.
No one's like, whatever. But anyways, if they're getting a shot, I feel like the Ascension should be taken a little bit more seriously. And this just, man, this just was like, if you ever thought the Ascension were going to get a chance again, this really shut down those feelings.
No, and this isn't like when Becky was losing for a while there on SmackDown. She was still giving good matches. She was just losing these hard luck ways. And eventually the worm turned, and now she was winning all these matches, got to SummerSlam, and now she's here, which is great. But like, it wasn't the way it was. This isn't the same thing. This is like such destruction, and it's almost insulting. And you feel bad for them. You feel bad for you. Like, who hates them at creative? And like, how rock solid is their deal that they can't get out of it and go someplace else?
I felt the same. I'm glad that we were on the same page here, because like, and I'm not normally
those are not bad wrestlers, those guys.
And I'm not normally one to be like, oh, they're getting buried, or they should try and leave, because look, they're getting a paycheck. They're probably very happy. Sure. I know they've both got families or whatever. So look, more power to you. I'm not saying you should be quitting your job, but I felt the same with watching. I was just like, this is the best they could come up with for the Ascension. It would have been best to not use the Ascension that night and at least let them gain some credibility, because that was. I mean, Connor is the same size as Lashley.
Yeah,
like Connor is not that much smaller than Lashley. Connor is a big dude.
Yeah,
Connor's a posing dude who I would never in a million years want to get in a fight with.
Exactly. And that's the frustrating thing about it, because you see that you have to believe that they somehow can be destroyed by Bobby Lashley, and then where they go from here. I think sometimes, Ryan, I know, Ryan, we've got to run through these next, but sometimes, brother, I think you have to take that risk to be fired in the WWE, because you got to get yourself respected. Look, Cody hated where his direction was going with his stuff, and he left. And that happens. Like, wrestlers hit that wall, and sometimes they got to push. Look, this, like with KO and Cornette, I mentioned that earlier. Cornette talks all kind of shit about KO, but KO was right about himself, wasn't he?
Yep.
And sometimes you have to believe in yourself more than other people believe in you. Jericho talks about all the time how Flair buried him at WCW because they didn't believe it. Austin talks about all the time how they didn't understand what to do with him in WCW. He pushed until he got out. Sometimes you got to know what you've got on the table so you can push for the respect you deserve or you need or you want. And some guys don't have that impulse in them necessarily for whatever reason, and they end up in a situation like this and can't get out of it, you know? And
imagine if there's a new Stone Cold just sitting in Victor.
Yeah.
Like Victor has
you never know.
You never know. This is not how you're going to find it.
Or a new Edge in the other. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly possible.
You're not going to find it by having them job to Lashley that quickly.
Sometimes you got to push till you get fired. Sometimes, because maybe it's the best move. Dean Ambrose taking on Jinder Mahal. I don't know. Speaking of someone who might be getting pushed to the side of Jinder, I guess they're just running this gimmick out for a while, and then whatever they're going to do with Jinder. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Jinder Mahal. Booker T and Brad Gilmore over there, they talk to me all the time about how much he respects the business, how hard he works, and how good he is at the training centers with everyone. So I got a lot of love for Jinder. They're doing what they can with him here. It's a terrible gimmick. And Ambrose, I don't know. Ambrose looked a bit rusty in this match. I wanted a little more action, a little more charm, but this vibe with Dean that this is the reason why he started losing credibility or losing traction with the fans. It all came back in this match. What did you think?
Well, I mean, it was reminiscent of Dean before he left. It wasn't so much like last week where it felt like different Dean.
Yeah, last week a different Dean, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you in that aspect. Although, I like to get the outside perspective a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get the perspective of my girlfriend, not outside necessarily, but someone who's not necessarily the hardcore fan. So like my girlfriend, my dad, even though my dad watches every week, but he's not necessarily tweeting about his takes and stuff like that. And but my girlfriend, she was actually the opposite this week. She was like, man, Dean Ambrose is like legit this week. Like he seems so. I don't know. Maybe because I'm on your side here. I agree with you. I'm kind of I wasn't super into this match.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt like the two weren't clicking at all. It wasn't necessarily something that blew me away or anything like that. Especially after Owens and Seth Rollins, it was kind of the matches that followed weren't necessarily on par with that. So it was kind of a letdown. One thing I was wondering with you, I was talking to Jamie, my co-host on Wrestling Sheet Radio. Yep. We were texting during the show, and he really didn't like the backstage promo with Dean Ambrose. He felt like it was too goofy. Were you on the same page?
Yes.
Really?
Because this is a man who is a great heel. And now you have him doing this stuff that's reminiscent of 3MB. And I'm like, what are you doing do you just want to bury him all? I mean, okay, let's stop it there. But you just want to push him all the way back down where he's just a joke again? And the whole what do you see? Oh, I see myself kicking you in the mouth and blah, blah, blah. He's still playing the rollout well in these promos. But yeah, it's goofy and it didn't help anything. It didn't promote Dean in any way, in a positive way. And I don't know where they're going to go with this in the long run, because once they make an overall decision about what direction they want to take Jinder, this is going to, like, I don't know if this is going to lose. If they keep doing this route, I think he's going to lose traction with the fans big time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's already has trouble. Yeah, he's definitely losing credibility in the eyes of the people that he had credibility with. Yeah, absolutely. With Dean Ambrose, beat Randy
Orton. This is a guy who beat Randy Orton. He can't beat Dean Ambrose in a quick match.
And, like, real quick match.
Yeah.
But Jamie was actually more angry about Dean being goofy. Like, he felt Dean was too goofy in this. And I didn't agree with him in that sense. I didn't feel like he was. I kind of felt like he was still serious. I liked it.
Yeah.
There was one thing I noticed, though, because I think everyone wants Dean to turn heel. Right. I think that's like what everyone's hoping.
It's all there.
And we've been getting little hints of it. And I think we got a real subtle one last night when they just had like a quick backstage shot of Dean and Seth.
Yep.
And
as soon as Rollins left frame.
Yeah, you saw that too. Okay, so it wasn't just me. Like, they did that fist bump.
Yeah.
And then right when they did a fist bump and Seth turned and Dean did like a little like side eye, like he wasn't feeling the fist bump, like it wasn't like legit. And I liked that. I'm hoping that they're going somewhere with that. I'm hoping, I'm praying. WWE, please go through with that, because it was nice. It was a nice little subtle hint there.
I think it's absolutely happening. If Rollins has a belt and Reigns has a belt and he doesn't, Ambrose, that you can play the jealousy angle so well as a heel.
It's got to happen at Showdown.
Oh yeah.
Super Showdown. They lose. Dean turns on the, or even if they win, Dean turns on the Shield. And then he's mad that Seth, like you said, Seth and Roman both have titles. He doesn't. Yeah. And that, no one cared about him while he was injured.
Right,
or whatever.
exactly.
It's easily done. I really hope that's what they're going
You guys flourished while I was on the sideline. I helped both of you. You guys didn't call me. You guys didn't come visit me.
I was the leader of the Shield.
I was the leader. Exactly.
You're the architect. You're the big dog. But I was the leader of the Shield, and you guys left me.
That's right.
To do Bachelorette podcasts with my wife while I'm injured.
Yeah. You could even throw in Renee in this. That would be brilliant to have him being more of a heel with Renee even. Speaking of someone who turned heel last night, Braun Strowman. Oh, my God. He got into this tag match with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, of course, with Roman Reigns as well. Good, a decent match back and forth, got it going. I thought McIntyre looked fantastic, but his reaction when Reigns tagged in Strowman was great. That's how you know that a guy or a lady in this wrestling business has figured it out. And when he was half scared, but also half willing to jump into the fray with Strowman, that's when you know a wrestler's face. Great looks on his face. You're like, okay, this works. This is going to be great. And then Strowman comes in, allows Ziggler and McIntyre to destroy Reigns, and then he came in and said, I told you I'm not done with you, and did all the things that he did there. And Ambrose couldn't do anything, Reigns couldn't do anything, and it was destruction. But this concern, I liked it, but then in the end it concerned me, Ryan, because I'm like, so is the family not getting back together? Is the Wyatt family not? Is this going to be the threesome versus the Shield?
That's the vibe I get. It doesn't seem like we're getting a Wyatt family reunion now. It seems like this is where they're going with it. And I liked it. Just like you, I love the cautious Drew McIntyre where he was like looking like, can I? Can I? And Braun would give like a shake of his head and he'd be like, okay, and then he would do it. Thought that was great. Great visual. I noticed a lot of anger after the show and today, shocking, from wrestling fans on Twitter who feel like this was a heel turn for Braun because he aligned. Do you think it was a heel turn?
Absolutely heel turn.
See, I didn't get that vibe from this.
He went with the heels. How can it not be a heel turn?
Well, but to be fair, the faces ganged up on him last week.
They did.
And it's not like we looked at it last week. Mm-hmm. We said it wasn't a heel turn for the Shield.
Right.
So I feel like it's not necessarily a heel turn for Braun either when he's technically, they did a shitty thing to him last week.
Yeah.
He didn't really deserve that. He was trying his best to, give a heads up, be as fair as possible with the Money in the Bank thing. Right. And I know people are going to say, well, that's just like Becky Lynch. But Becky Lynch hugged her good friend and then punched her in the face.
Yeah.
This was definitely Braun being like, no, you screwed me last week. Now I'm screwing you. So yes, he aligned with the heels.
Yeah.
Yes, he did align with the heels. But I didn't get the vibe of a heel turn. Even on commentary, they were saying like they were trying to drive home the fact that like this was payback for last week.
Yeah.
This was payback because the Shield reformed and got him last week.
Right.
So I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel like it was a heel turn just because he worked with some heels for once. Because to be honest, he's been this monster who is very much a tweener the whole time.
Yes.
He's never once been like a clear-cut face.
Yeah,
so I
agree
don't
with
think
that.
him beating up the Shield makes him a heel.
I take all your points. I think they're very good points, Ryan. The only thing I would push back and say is the difference is that his friends are the Shield. He doesn't know McIntyre and Ziggler as his friends. That's why friends coming down to help Reigns feels a little bit more face, and you could be a little more okay with that than you can him joining two strangers who are heels and him using them to destroy the Shield. That seems a bit weird. So that's why it feels like a heel turn. I think it'd be different if the Wyatt family came in and helped him. That would be a whole other ballgame.
True,
you
don't know my boys.
Yeah,
we
don't know
we have
which way to go.
history.
Exactly, you don't know which way to go. But also, you got to look at the fact without Lesnar, they don't have a main heel, and Strowman fits that for now. And like you said, he's a tweener. He can easily turn face, no problem, because the fans love him. Whichever direction he goes,
True,
the fans love him.
True,
you're like Stone Cold. Stone Cold could be face or heel all the time. Nobody cared. They went with him, even when he was doing the what shit when he was leading the invasion.
True.
He was still over with the fans in a positive way.
Yeah, I think you're right in that sense that they definitely, because they have never given us a clear-cut definition of whether he's a heel or a face.
Yeah.
He does switch back and forth where he's needed, it
Yes.
seems like.
Yes.
So, yeah, I that makes sense. It's just kind of like letting you know, like, hey, we want you to cheer for Roman Reigns in this instance.
I think that's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And, dude, at some point, I know we got to wrap up, but at some point, you can't keep protecting him. At some point, you can't keep making everyone else sacrifice so you can trick the fans on a 5-year plan to finally cheer for Roman.
You know what sucks?
It's so frustrating.
There was a good...
And I like Roman, by the way.
There was a good 4 or 5 months. There was a good stretch of time leading to the WrestleMania the WrestleMania when he wrestled Undertaker.
Yes.
Well, no, you probably don't know this part, but
okay.
But there was a good stretch of time when Roman was going to face Undertaker at WrestleMania. What WrestleMania was that? That was a couple years ago. You know what I'm talking about? When they the hat in the ring and stuff.
Yeah.
That was the initial plan. And the plan they were going into WrestleMania for a few months, and it got changed obviously the last minute because I think they thought he was going to retire. Right? So they changed plans, and that's why it was kind of did that unopened, like left open whether he's retired or not thing, which he wasn't. But the initial plan was going to be to have Roman actually turn heel. He was going to lose, and then he was going to literally destroy the Undertaker. He was going to take a chair to the Undertaker, and he was just going to go to town and just be relentless, and then the next night on Raw cement heel Roman Reigns. Gotcha. And then it all got switched around. I think I forget exactly who ended up showing up on Raw the next night, but yeah, things got all messed around. So there was a point when Vince was behind the Roman heel turn. So I don't think John Cena's ever had it in the works.
He started out as a heel and then became a face.
Since he's become the face of the company, I don't think it's ever been in the works.
No.
Roman, there was a point in time where it was in the works, but I don't see it happening anytime again soon.
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating part of it all because they work so hard to make him a face and make him over with the fans. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I think no matter how hard they try, it's not going to 100% work. It's been working slowly.
I saw that story, and I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but I saw that story that he's the #1 merch seller now. So I mean, there is an argument to be made. I don't know.
Okay, I do like Roman Empire. That's a great gimmick.
It is.
I'm not going to lie to that. It's got good connotation to it. All right, well, that's our Collider Bodyslam Raw recap. Let us know what you thought about what happened on Raw in the comments section below. Do you agree with our takes on it? What do you think is going to happen with Strowman? Is he aligning himself with McIntyre now? And Ziggler, what do you think about the women's division? What's happening there? Do you think Trish Stratus will get the victory over Alexa, or will Alexa win this thing? I don't know. Actually, it could go either way. It's a lot of fun. What do you think they're doing with Lashley, the Ascension, Revival, all this stuff? Is the B team done? Do you agree with us? Is the B team done?
They are.
All those things to talk about there. And is Constable Corbin, should he be fired? And what is going to happen with Angle? Is this a real thing? They do this sometimes where they bring Bischoff on and he's gone for the rest of the time. Is he gone? Are they going to slide Hogan in? Is it going to be Corbin? Like, what are they going to do here?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I didn't think about the Hogan thing. Oh, my God. Stop. Just stop before I go on a...
Rules and bones are meant to be broken.
Oh, man. There's only one man who can stop the Constable brother, and that's Hulk Hogan.
That's Hulk Hogan, brother.
Oh.
Okay, we might have lost Ryan. Ryan, do you want to tell everybody where to subscribe to that, please?
Yeah, if you're here on YouTube, please go check out the audio feed. It's in iTunes, Podcast One. It's Wrestling Sheet Radio. We got a bunch of stuff going on in there. Aaron Turner's new show is very soon. It's
Let's go.
I got him a co-host. I got him. We're working on it. We're almost there with Aaron Turner's show where he's going to be covering indie wrestling and all that kind of stuff. He's hoping to maybe have like an all-in reaction show be the first one. I'm hoping that's the case. We'll see. We're working on it. Right on. But yeah, go check out the Wrestling Sheet Radio feed. If you're listening to the audio, please go check us out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/c/Wrestling Sheet. We've been doing these recap shows on video. Same for Wrestling Sheet Radio. Same for other news hits. I recently did a video this week on the top 5 people I want to see Neville wrestle on the indies now that he is, no longer employed by WWE. Right. And there's a bunch of stuff going on there. And also, while you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you check out the other stuff that Collider's doing on YouTube. They got Collider Sports, Collider Games, Collider Quick Hits, Collider everything. I mean, there's honestly so much cool stuff on there. Collider Live is 3 days a week. It cracks me up. I've been watching every day. They were talking about farting in the office today, and I learned a lot about people. So I really have been learning a lot about my coworkers via Collider Live. So please go check that out. Also, there's a Schmodown coming up, right?
There
live
is
one
on the live one, yeah, September 8th. Dan Merle and I, the greatest of all time, the dangerous one, Dan and the Outlaw, coming together, taking on Stacey Howard and Winston in that tag team match. We're gonna open the paper. We're gonna open the live show there. Then it's Mara Knopick versus Jason Inman for the Inner Geekdom Championship. It's a horseman night, but good challenges on both sides. We're going to see what happens. No one is taking anyone lightly. It's going to be awesome. There's only a few tickets left. So you got to go to El Portal Theater, September 8th, 7 p.m. over there in North Hollywood. Get your tickets. They're running out. Don't think you're going to show up day of and get a ticket. We have sold out the last 2, so you got to get there early, get it on the line. And I think it's schmodownlive.com. Do that. And this Friday, I take on Ben Bateman. Son, you're going down. That's all I'm going to tell you, young lion.
Yeah, I went to the last live show. It's awesome. It's a super fun experience. For those of you that ever watched Schmodown or listened to it, I highly recommend it. It's just basically pro wrestling, promos, characters, but instead of actually wrestling, they do trivia instead. Yeah. It's very, very fun. I can't recommend it enough. Also, follow the show on social media. It's at Wrestling Sheet on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm at Ryan Satin on all of those as well. And Rocha, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Love doing this with you, Ryan. Thanks again for doing it this week. We'll see you tomorrow for a Collider Bodyslam Smackdown recap, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
ProWrestlingSheet.com